Hello, grace and peace be with you on this Good Friday. My name is Teresa Larson. I am the seminary intern at Second Presbyterian Church, and I am here today to introduce you to our last prayer practice of Holy Week called Visio Divina, one of my favorite prayer practices. Visio Divina is Latin for divine seeing and is praying with images to listen to and hear God's voice. Like Lectio Divina, there are 4 steps to Visio Divina, and I will be walking you through each one of them. The image that we are going to use for our practice today is a painting called Joseph of Arimathea. It is a painting by Hannah Garrity, who's a liturgical artist based in Richmond, Virginia, and is based off of the text to Luke chapter 23, verses 44 through 56. So the first step of Visio Divina is to find a comfortable place to sit. Take a few deep breaths, center yourself, and hear these words from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 23, verses 44 through 56. It was now about noon, and darkness had come over the whole land, until 3 in the afternoon, when the sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said, "Father, into your hands I command my spirit." Having said this, he breathed his last. When the centurion saw what had taken place, he praised God and said, "Certainly this man was innocent." And when all the crowds who had gathered there for the spectacle saw what had taken place, they returned home beating their breasts. But all his acquaintances, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance, watching these things. Now there was a good and righteous man named Joseph, who, though a member of the council, had not agreed to their plan and action. He came from a Jewish town of Arimathea, and he was waiting expectantly for the kingdom of God. This man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. And then he took it down, wrapped it in a linen cloth, and laid it in a rock-hewn tomb where no one had ever been laid before. It was the day of preparation, and the Sabbath was beginning. The women who had come with him from Galilee followed, and they saw the tomb and how his body was laid. Then they returned and prepared spices and ointments. On the Sabbath they rested according to the commandments. So we're going to now take our first look at the image, and I invite you to just examine this image slowly. Notice the colors and the people and places and things. Where do you see movement in the image? Where do you see relationship? Remain with this image for several minutes and feel free to push the pause button if you need a little bit more time. We're now going to prepare ourselves to take a second look at the image, a second and deeper look at this image. So engage your imagination as you look at this image for a second time. Where do you see yourself in this piece of art? What do you see from that perspective? What emotions does this artwork invoke in you, and what deeper meanings emerge for you? Carry these questions with you as you take a second and deeper look. Before we take our third look at the image, I want to share with you a reflection from Hannah Garrity, the artist of this painting. She writes, "How heavy is the body of a dead man? Only with superhuman strength could this be possible. Yet Joseph of Arimathea alone carries Jesus' lifeless body. How did he do that? Why did he do that?" Luke says that he came from a Jewish town of Arimathea, and he was waiting expectantly for the kingdom of God. Is this act good enough? He was on the council. He disagreed with the majority. Why could he have stopped the crucifixion from happening in the first place? Why did he fail to convince his fellow council members? Is this good deed enough to make up for such a monumental failure? Or is Joseph of Arimathea in the right place at the right time? Is he able to dignify Jesus' body after death? Does he play a vital role of the dissenter, picking up the pieces of the wrongs of the group? Does Joseph forward God's plan for Jesus' death and resurrection? How weighty a task! What superhuman strength must we each have to forward God's plan? Yet God prepares us, and we are ready. Carry these reflections with you as you take a third look at the image. We're now going to take our final look at the image and respond to this image in prayer. So as you look at this image, think to yourself if this image reminds you of an experience or a person or an issue that you would like to offer up prayer of thanksgiving or a prayer of intercession for. As you look at this image for a final time, offer your prayers to God. Thank you all so much for joining us for this practice of Visio Divina. I pray that your Good Friday is filled with rest and with a sense of God's presence with you as you move through this day and into Holy Saturday. And we look forward to joining you in a spirit of worship on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And until then, the peace of Christ be with you.